And we're back in Goodwill, and unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, I already have a cart full of stuff without my camera running. I'm not sure what happened, but this is a Monday, so the store's crowded. It's $1.99 day. I forget what color, but I've got a couple of things in there already. Now, most of what you're seeing there, I do put back, but I'll put comps up on the screen for stuff that I put back, and at the haul portion of the video, I'll put comps of stuff I ended up with. So here I am in my favorite aisle, the toy and board game aisle. It's my favorite aisle now because they no longer have plastic hangers on the one side. But here I am looking through any kind of board games, anything sealed, anything that looks unique. And we're just looking and looking. There's a casino set sealed. I didn't comp that. I don't think that had any value, at least for the prices that Goodwill charges on stuff like that. It was probably $10 to $15, so not a reseller type of price. So those totes are things I typically look for on $1.99 day. I already looked at them to see that none of them were discounted to $2. Lots of times I'll buy those flip top totes just for the tote, and then if there's something in it that's resellable, that's great. If not, I've got the tote. That's my preferred inventory type of tote, so it's worth buying for $2 if that's the case. This Goodwill normally sells those for $4 empty. So we're just kind of perusing. I've already been in the store for probably 15 minutes, so I've made a pass through just about every aisle that I normally look at. There's a guy with a big Mario something bag, sleeping bag. I'm constantly looking in these shelves. You've heard me talk about these Samsung One Connects. They look like just a random box of electronics, and I sell those for about $200 every time I find one. So I'm always looking there. None today. Okay, back to that aisle. No, we're not going to go down that aisle. Lots of kids in the store, so I'm doing my best to blur out any youngsters. And there's a new bunch of stuff, so I'm looking through there to see, is there anything I can put in my cart and take out later? And I successfully find a couple bags of Schleich horses. And I do normally buy those, and that's why I put them in my cart. And there's a talking Barney, a 1992, I'll say the word I don't like, plush Barney, stuffed animal. And there's a game. I've looked at this game several times before, and every time I look at it, I think it's worth more. But I'll show you. There's a few different versions, and there's certain versions that are worth it. This one wasn't. And I don't even know what that was. I think a Halloween gun or something. I'm continually amazed at what shows up in these carts, in these shelves at Goodwill. So we're looking, trying to find something that is a home run. Currently, I've got a couple of $1.99 like juicers and things of that sort that I normally go after on Mondays, and then I've got a bunch of suspect stuff. And when I say suspect, I don't know my odds of keeping it in the cart when I check out are pretty low, in my opinion. So checking out books. I've done well with certain books. I have to look through mainly just the science fiction there. I really should look at the kids' books more regularly, and so I'm going back over here to the big electronics to see, has anything come out since I was here before? Nope. So down here, I started looking at lamps lately. I saw a guy walk out with two of those sand clocks, and that's where they put them, by these lamps. But made me realize, okay, they put some cool stuff out here. I just got to keep my eyes open. My kids loved Barney. They loved the original Barney and the Barney show, and we had the Microsoft animatronic Barney. The Barney they have in today's world is not the same. The voice is not the same. So here I am trying to look at this game, and unfortunately my version is the not good version. What's strange is, and tell me if this happens to you, I know I've looked that up before. I just, sealed game, trying to find, reaching for something. Is there something I can get that feels like a good home run? And unfortunately, this wasn't it. Scanning. The better you get at this, and the less time you need to look things up. Like, I really shouldn't have picked that game up in the first place. Although, like I said, there are certain versions of that game that are really worth it. Okay. My cart is so full that I'm to the point where I got to start putting stuff back in case I find something great. Which, if you looked at the title of this video, you're probably thinking, I think he found something great. So we're going to ask if we can scoot by, but we're not scooting by. Which is fine. Everyone gets their turn to shop. So I really just wanted to put a couple things back. I decided on the game. I have not decided on those Schleich horses, but I do end up putting them back. I normally would have bought at least the one bag that had, at least I think it had a couple of like Pegasus type horses, fairy horses, and so we just walked past something, and we're at about 8 minutes in on this footage, and there was one reseller in that aisle. This aisle I think has about 5 resellers in it, and we're going to count and see how many minutes before I actually come back to that aisle and find my home run item. So I do look in these sections for Christmas decorations, any Fontanini stuff I found here. These eggs caught my eye, and there's several of them, and they're Danbury mint. I didn't even take the time to look them up, but I'll show you a comp for some of the, I think these were the Seas of Wonder or something, some type of thing like that. There was a bunch there. I don't think they were worth getting. I think they were probably $3 or $4 a piece, so wouldn't have been worth it. So I look in this section for things like Mr. Coffee iced tea pitchers, if I can get them cheap. Now I've kind of been backing off on those because I have several of them in my inventory listed, and so I haven't sold. So I'm gonna wait to buy more until I get some sold. I had one of these, or my mom had one of these. We make our Kool-Aid in there. Your packet of Kool-Aid, and then your 8 cups of sugar would go in there, and that's how we survived.
Bowling sure makes me hot and thirsty.
This is a job for Kool-Aid.
Hey, Kool-Aid!
Oh yeah, Kool-Aid here, bringing you fun. Kool-Aid's got thirst on the run. Get a big, wide, happy ear to brand softening.
There's another reseller kind of circling the area. Now, in my last thrifting video, you saw me pick up a Salad Master electric pot right there, and so I am still, at this point, I'm still hoping to find the cord for it, but we did not. I'm looking in the pet stuff for egg incubators and electric dog collars. That's not one. I've sold one of those before, but they're just not worth it. Kind of peeking through here. This $1.99 day, so I've already scooted through here my first minutes in. Really wasn't a lot of I think it was green. I can't remember what color. Green tag maybe. Really wasn't much here. I do find another juicer that I would have normally gotten, but it just didn't have the part I normally need. Looking around, you just never know what you're gonna find. I got that Salad Master on the mind, and I'm like looking for any more of those. I don't know what that was. So like this, that's the kind of juicer I normally would get, a Jack LaLanne juicer, but without the pulp bin, really not worth even the $2, because I'm probably only going to sell the pusher. I need to get the pusher and the pulp bin and maybe the small collector bin to make it worth the $2. I do look at those hand mixers if they're $2 and if they have the pieces and parts for them. For some reason, they have a whole bunch sitting here with none of the beaters, so not sure what they do with them. I just actually sold a hand mixer that I had bought here on $2 day, and it had beaters, but not all the original beaters. And my buyer messaged and said it didn't have all the beaters. And so I went ahead and just gave him a refund, even though my listing showed what it did include. So I'm looking at that toaster, that Mueller toaster there, and I do end up buying it. To be honest, I can't remember if I bought it at this stop or a different stop, but it wasn't $2. But I had been looking at long slot toasters, and so I did end up picking it up one of these stops. Let's see if I put it in the cart this time. I just don't remember. Well, I guess I did buy it. At least it's in the cart at this point. For aid to people donating things, shake the stuff out of your toaster before you donate it. That one was loaded. Okay, that's a Mr. Coffee iced tea maker I've never seen before, and I looked it up so I could figure out what pitcher went to it, and I did look for the pitcher in the plastics aisle, but I did not see it. I was really hoping to find it. So that was a coffee maker. It wasn't $2, but it had a glass carafe, and I don't buy the glass. I don't buy the coffee makers to resell just the carafe if it's glass. I only am doing it if it's the stainless steel, like that one. That was a Cuisinart, I think. I think that's a 10 cup carafe. And recently I, at an estate sale, I think in a recent video, you saw me buy a 12 cup Cuisinart carafe. I thought they were the same size until I put them together, and sure enough, they're the same height, but they are different diameter. So I guess when you're reselling, make sure you're selling the item that you actually have. So I think here's where I'm looking for that plastic iced tea pitcher. Trying to find it. Okay, so it's been about right about 7 minutes since I first walked past my score, and we're getting close. I look at those, and now I see something on the floor. So it was sitting there when I walked past 8 minutes earlier, and this is the turkey roaster Wagnerware GHC, the model. I think those are. I can't remember the model number. It's the turkey roaster size, and that was $20. I could not believe, because I have bought them here at this Goodwill before for $50. I was okay with paying $50 because I typically sell those for at least $200. So right now I'm thinking, okay, what do I have to get rid of out of this cart, because I'm not going to carry this turkey roaster around for the rest of the time I'm here. So a quick sort through to try to figure out what I'm getting rid of. Now, in the foreground, or ahead of me there, is a gentleman who's sitting in a recliner, and he's also a reseller. And later on, he sees me with the roaster and comes up to me and tells me what a score I got. He's actually buying a Lazy Boy, a vintage Lazy Boy, and he was pretty pumped about that. So it's always fun when you meet people and you kind of have a shared kind of existence as resellers. But I never would buy furniture, and he probably wouldn't buy any of the stuff I've got. But you kind of recognize great items when you see them in other people's carts. So I'm trying to figure out, what am I getting rid of here? What's leaving the island? What's being voted off the cart? And the KitchenAid blender motor, I had never seen that. It's an Architect, and I put it in the cart. I think it was I want to say it was $15, but once I started looking at comps, I realized those things are really hard to sell because they just aren't as desirable as the other parts, and so it's going to go out. And here is this is the OSD audio speaker selector that when I looked in comps, I got confused because the model number is almost the same as a Niles speaker selector. In fact, I found a lot of companies basically use almost the same model number as the Niles to describe their four speaker selector switch. So I think it's a scam. I think they're just trying to hide themselves in Niles. I think I may end up keeping it. I paid $20 for it, but it's a dual source 4-speaker selector, which would be great for my testing area because I can keep my test amplifier on one source and then have a second source that I can hook into for other testing purposes. So it's probably worth it to keep. I couldn't find an actual comp. I did find the 6-speaker OSD selector with the dual source, but the Niles actually is a single source switch. They look very similar, but the Niles are worth much, much more. Now I've got this Logitech driving wheel and pedals. Trying to decide if I want to keep that. It was I think $50 or $60, so I got to make a decision. And note to resellers out there who are learning this stuff, Logitech has a lot of, in this case this was I think a G920 driving wheel. And then there's also many models of that G920 driving wheel. So you got to be careful on what you're searching for when you're trying to compare. In this case, I thought it was worth it, even though I don't have the gear shift. I was kind of hoping to see it come out. I think I'm still good on that. Okay, now this is where the engineer in me tries to figure out how to fit everything in here in a thing that works and that I can actually get out of the store. We're trying to piece these things back in here. I got things to drop off, the go backs, and I'm not one of those people that just leave stuff laying around the store. I just, if I'm going to put something back, I put it back where it's supposed to be. And it's something that is one of those irritations that I have with shopping in stores like Goodwill. So here I'm getting to the point where I can't figure out how to hold everything and steer the cart. So we're down to a couple items that somehow need to fit inside this cart. That's not going to work. I got two hands and no hands to steer, so definitely not working there. Let's fit some more stuff in there. I can't remember that little white box. That was a Ubiquity, some control box. Was not worth buying. And those two CBs. I really look at these, trying to buy them. I'd normally buy stuff like that, but in the end, they were probably a good buy. I just met my capacity of my cart. Trying to keep kids out of the video. There's a guy looking at, that reseller was looking at my Wagnerware. He walked past it just like I did. Okay, I think I'm gonna set these. I'm looking at that little dishwasher because I've been looking for one of those. Got a secret plan for one of those portable dishwashers. But I don't have room in my cart for that. So I'm going to put the CBs back where I found them, but I also want to just double check. One's a Cobra, one's a Maxon. And I've got a couple Cobras, and there's a certain model that is really valuable. I don't think that was it. And that didn't have a Cobra mic. It had a off-brand mic, so that just kind of sealed it for me, even though I did check some comps for that stuff. Just not, you get to, especially things like this where my cart's overflowing, you just decide to leave good stuff for somebody else. A lot of people in there would enjoy having that or enjoy buying it to resell. So there you go. Just doing some quick checks. Wanted to make sure it wasn't the one model that I know is much more valuable. How do you guys test CBs? I set up two CBs. I had one call the other. That's pretty much how I test them. But I like to at least know they can transmit. I mean, you can click the button and it lights up, but it doesn't mean it's transmitting. So always nice to have a little bit more thorough testing so you can for sure say your item works. Okay, goodbye CBs. We're gonna leave you. Now we're at 24 minutes in on this video, so we're about 17 minutes since I first saw the turkey roaster, and about 10 minutes since I got the turkey roaster. So for the last 10 minutes, we've been wandering around the store. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with tennis rackets like I do golf clubs, mostly because they are a pain to ship. No box that I have fits them, so I always have to Frankenbox. And I'd never seen this brand, so I thought this might be good. So I end up pulling this out to see, and it wasn't. There's a few brands that are really pretty good. I just recently sold the Bobbalat racket for a little over $100, and I think Yonex is another brand that's pretty good, depending on the model. Most of the other ones not worth selling. Although I did just sell, it hasn't come out in video yet, but I did sell a vintage Pro Staff racket. So vintage it had Jimmy Connors and Chris Evert in the pamphlet for it. I think I'm because all these rackets have really, model number after model number that are so similar, you really gotta just make sure you're typing in the right number, and then make sure that you're looking at the right thing. And again, I think it was worth about $20, and they wanted $10 for it, so not worth the hassle of building a whole box just for that. Okay, we're at 26 minutes in, so we're about almost 20 minutes since I first saw the turkey roaster, and about 12 minutes since I got the turkey roaster. And here's a whole cadre of resellers milling about.
It's perilous.
Yeah, I have my cart is perilously stacked. She wanted to make sure she didn't knock anything out. So trying to figure out if I can get in one of these aisles. I'm about ready to just decide to leave, but I'm doing one last check. No Cutco knife blocks. There's someone with a pan. Okay, we're back after a trip to Goodwill this morning on $1.99 day, and also an auction pickup. So let me run through the auction pickup first, and then we'll hit the stuff we got at Goodwill, which we got some great stuff at Goodwill that you saw. Hopefully you saw some of that in the video. So the estate sale, what we got was the Nagel print in the back there. That was $25, and then we've got two cameras here. We got this Minolta 16 MG, which I think I paid too much for because I'm not sure it's missing a piece here. I have some other Minolta 16 cameras, so I'll have to take a look and see if I can figure out what was supposed to be there. But it was a nice case. I paid $17 for that. And then back here was really a nice find. This is a Bolex. I can never remember how to say this. Bolex Palard. Tell me how you pronounce that. I've looked at these before. This one just ended up getting this one for $42, which I thought was pretty good because it appeared to be in pretty good condition. Had the case, had the manual, had some filters here. So the comps on that looked pretty good, so I'm hoping to get anywhere close to the comps for that. So those three items were the estate sale pickup. When I went to Goodwill, I try to go on Mondays when they have a certain tag discounted, and so I try to hit the store at opening with the rest of the crowd and see what I can find. And a lot of times I go right to the kitchen appliance aisle, But lately I haven't found anything there, but today I did. It was green tag day, and so I got back here is a Cuisinart coffee pot. I will probably just sell the carafe here, which you might have seen in a recent video, me buying one of these at an estate sale for $1. In this case I got to pay $2, so we'll see if this has any value or any parts of it have value. I also got two juicers back here, two different juicers. One of them had the pulp cup and it also has the inner cup. I didn't realize it until I got home, but this pulp cup has a crack here. I may still be able to sell it though, just at a discount. This other one didn't have the pulp cup, but it did have the pusher and some of these other parts I've been able to sell. This model, actually, these plastic clamps here, I usually sell the pair for about $10 plus shipping. I sell this pusher, and then I'll sell I'm trying to sell the pulp bin for at least $10 at a discount, and then the small cup for another $10. So that's pretty good for 222. And then also I got another green item here, Hamilton Beach, this electric knife. We'll see on that. I didn't comp that out, but I thought I would try that since it was $2. And then I bought this Mueller toaster. It's a long toaster, wide toaster. I paid $8 for it, but the comps on these were pretty good, and this one's in pretty good shape. I just need to clean up the mess here, but that'll clean up. So I was happy to get this because I've been looking at toasters for wide toasters or specialty toasters, so we're going to see on this one. Who knows? The family may want to keep it, but we're going to clean that up. Another item that I got that I may have paid too much for was this. It's a Logitech. I can't remember the model number, but I'll put up a comp. I think it's an Xbox One version. I'm not sure if it works with others. Nice condition. I paid $60 for it. I don't have the shifter knob, so I'm going to keep looking to see if maybe the shifter knob will show up eventually, but otherwise maybe I can get a replacement. But it is the 3-pedal metal pedal setup, so nice. It's a nice setup, so I don't think I terribly overpaid at $60. Nice condition. And then I also got this 1992 Talking Barney.
Hello again to all my friends.
So this one may not end up leaving the house, but I do look for vintage Barney stuff. There's Barney. And then I also got this OGO backpack. Now, I've sold OGO backpacks before for good money. You're not ever going to sell them for good money when they have some company name on here. But I paid $10 for this one for personal use. I'll probably just... There's Barney. I'll probably just black this out just so it's not as obvious and use this for personal use. Because when I recently retired, my backpack I'd had for probably 10 years, it was wiped out. And so I decided I would toss it and look for a replacement. And these are nice backpacks if you've ever had OGO backpacks. But this one's really nice too. Clean, super clean on the inside as well. So that was a good find. Here's an item that I may have overpaid for. I paid $20 for it. It's an OSD audio, which that's a great brand to look for, high-end stuff. I just haven't found a comp for the speaker selector, which is what this is. So I paid $20 for that. Who knows? I may end up just using it as part of my testing rig. And then this was a great find. I love when I find stuff like this. You're probably saying it's just a remote control. It's the remote control that I needed for my new TV that I just recently got at an estate sale that I'm going to put in my shop. A nice 4K smart TV, I think it's a 43-inch TV. This was the remote for it, and it didn't come with it. And I was getting ready to buy a knockoff or maybe buy one of these on eBay, but as luck would have it, I did have to pay $5 for it, so that kind of stinks. But all of that to say, these were an amazing find. If you saw, I think you probably saw on footage me finding this one. Now this is the large roaster, Wagner Ware Magnolite roaster, and I'll give you the model number and stuff. I paid $20 for this. I about had a heart attack when I looked at the price because I bought not as nice of ones of these at that same Goodwill for $50 before. Somehow the pricing guy was really helpful today. And this was on the shelf, on a bottom shelf in the kitchen aisle, and I saw the end piece here,
And so I already had a cart full of stuff, so I had to hold this, made room in my cart, and then a few minutes later I came back through the aisle. My camera had shut off. I think it got too hot or something. It shut off, but where this one was sitting, this one was sitting. So I just pulled this one out, made more room in the cart, and was just so shocked. This one was $15. This one was $20. I could not believe it. So shocked. I did have another reseller stop me and say how amazing my find was, but that really was the topper for the day. I actually did go back into the store after loading all this in my car and looked around to see if any more Wagner ware came out. I looked in all the other pans and stuff and never saw any more, so I think I got the goods. When I went back in, that's when I found this backpack, and I also found something I've been looking for. This is it's a comfy portable dishwasher. I paid $50 for it. Really nice condition. I could sell this on Facebook Marketplace probably for maybe $100, $150, but I plan to use this because I am going to try to get into some other categories, mainly shoes, and I thought this would be a great way, I think, to wash shoes. You're not beating them all to hell, but you're giving them a chance to get washed. So let me know in the comments what you think about that idea, that this is a nice little small enough washer. It's a dishwasher, but I think it would work for washing shoes. So let me know what you think. I paid $50 for it. Looks in great shape.